So, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Janice, do you want to try to do the roll call now before we do our other stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's coming. There you go.
John Denver is not here, so we don't need to give him a proclamation.
Yeah, she already took care of that. Yeah. All right, everybody's here, has registered that they are here, and those who are not here didn't. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by our outgoing member, Debbie Franklin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is special presentations to outgoing executive committee members. And we have 5 proclamations out there. And so I'm going to come around front, and Janice is going to call them one at a time. And I'd like to also invite our executive director, Rick Bishop, to join me there. And we'll do some pictures over to the side, and then you can return to your seat. Is that okay with everyone?
Debbie Franklin, you're up first, please.
It has been a true honor to serve alongside you, and I'm sad that you are leaving us. No, really, honestly, I am sad. But I know why you're leaving. Has something to do with children, and so I can relate to that. I'm not going to get long-winded here, but WRCOG is presenting you with this proclamation. It is signed by myself as chair, Bonnie Wright as vice chair, and Laura Roughton as second vice chair. I'm going to give you the mic so you can say whatever you'd like to say, and then we're going to get a picture over there.
Well, I want to thank all of the committee members and all the staff for a great 8 years, I believe, that I've had with you. It's been an awesome ride, and I'm just ready to not say goodbye, but I'll see you again in a different way.
Hasta la vida, baby. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Eugene Montanez, you're next, please.
We got special rules and everything.
Eugene, 7 years representing your city of Corona on WRCOG, and you will be missed as well. I've always enjoyed your passion, your intellect, and your experience. Would you like to say a few words?
No, that's okay. We'll be here all day if we do that. But thank you.
Supervisor Ashley, you're next, sir.
Wow, Marion. Can I tell them that little story we presented at the Farm Bureau?
Yeah.
You know, Marion's been in the county for a very long time, and he likes to talk about what the county was like when he was growing up, and he has many stories to tell about, you know, farms and that sort of thing, to come all the way to where he is today. but we both showed up at an annual dinner for the Farm Bureau, and we both showed up with a proclamation in hand. They were identical proclamations. So we kind of looked at each other, and we said, okay, well, who's going to present? And he said, why don't we both go up there? Oh, okay, great. So out of deference to Marion and his experience and his seniority, I said, you go first. So Marion told a lot of that story, which was fascinating about the early years, his early years in Riverside County. And after he told all of that, I was like, how do I top that? So I started talking about when I joined the Navy, and I got to a point in my training in Pensacola, and we'd be out flying, and the instructor would say, and if your engine failed, you look around for a farmer's field to land in. And I said, that's my farm story. That was all I had. Yeah. But to have spent the last 4 years with Marion, who went out of his way to make me feel comfortable and a part of the team on the Board of Supervisors, and to serve alongside him also here at WRCOG, has been one of the highlights for me in my career, and I'm going to miss you dearly.
I'll miss you more, Chuck. Thank you. I really enjoyed my time as county supervisor, but I particularly enjoyed serving on organizations like WRCOG that are so well run, have so many vital people that are trying to make Riverside County successful. And it's just, I'm going to miss you all terribly, but you know, I'll be around. Just be around in a different form of some kind, I hope. So in any event, yeah, goodbye. I'll see you later.
Supervisor John Tavallone.
Supervisor Tavallone is coming up, and I'll begin my comments. You know the building's named after him now. He's been here 24 years. And actually, I was worried we weren't going to be able to pry him out of his seat. But because you've been here so long. He said, oh, I can't tell half the stuff I want to say because we're in mixed company. Yeah. Oh my God. It's a good thing you're leaving because there'd be trouble. I know it. So, John, thank you. I talked to John's retirement event at the convention center. And I did share then about how when I had submitted my application for the appointment to Stone's seat, and I was on a trip, I was in Baltimore, my phone rang and I didn't recognize the number, and I said, hello, and he said, is this Chuck Washington? Yeah, this is John Tavallone. I understand you want to be a county supervisor. Yes, sir. He said, okay, I'm going to work on it for you. And he's the only guy I know that I encounter on a day-to-day basis who has the governor's cell phone in his phone, and that when he calls the governor answers. It's at least this one, yeah. But everywhere I've been in the state, everybody knows John Tavallone. They know of his work. They know his uncle, Uncle Joe, who is now my uncle because I'm part Italian. I like spaghetti. He's, well, I will go.
Brothers from another mother, but we're brothers from another mother. We can't tell that whole story, though.
Yeah. All right, I better stop now. Do you want to say something?
No, is that the claim?
Yeah. Let's take a picture. There's no way we can mess that up.
Mr. Adam Rush, you're next, sir.
I will just say it's been an honor to serve this county. It's been an honor to participate and serve on WRCOG. I've said it time and time again, having served at CSEC, California State Association of Counties, been involved throughout the state, seeing and working with the 58 counties, and part of that, working with League of Cities through the counties, County State Schools Partnership. Riverside County is the most progressive county in the state of California, and all of you should be very proud for that. So thank you for the honor of serving.
Can you do it one more time?
Yes.
Hey, Adam. Haven't had the pleasure of working alongside you as long as those two, but you're not as old. You got that going for you. So you'll probably be around for a while, right? Yeah, I know. This is to recognize your 9 years of service to Western Riverside Council of Governments, and I'm sorry to see you leave. I worked with you outside of this as well, and know that you're committed to raising the quality of life in Riverside County. So thank you for your service. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Janice, do we have any public comments?
I have no requests.
All right, great. The next item on the agenda is minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of November 5th. We have a motion and a second. Please register your votes. Waiting on Calamasa. All right, the minutes are approved on a vote of 20 yeses, 0 noes, and 2 abstentions. We'll move now down to the consent calendar, items 6A through 6, yikes, P. Action items 6A through 6L, Lima. Are there any requests to speak on any of those items? Any requests to pull any of those from the consent calendar? Noting none, please cast your votes. That motion is approved with 22 yes votes, 0 no votes. Let's see, we left off with L, and now we'll go down to information items. M, N, O.
It's all under one vote, sir.
Pardon?
It's all under one vote.
Oh, on the screen it said, oh, there's the rest of it. All right. It wasn't all on one screen, so I assumed it was, you wanted a separate vote. We're down to 7, reports and discussions, 7A. That's you, Andrea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Andrea Howard, WRCOG Program Manager, here with an update on the Experience Project. We'll get the slides up here in just a moment for you. Great. So this concept for Experience is an idea that's been growing for several years, and in late 2017, staff brought the concept of an experiential sustainability center to its committee structure for consideration. As intended, the idea for Experience grew and morphed into these current vision and mission statements developed by the steering committee to the feasibility analysis. The feasibility analysis is a comprehensive study of the viability of bringing this concept to Western Riverside. The process involved researching more than 50 relevant models, including tours and interviews of many, a market demand analysis, a pro forma analysis, which provides an approximation of the operation costs and capital investments needed for experience, and includes a cost plan, estimating the construction of experience, net operating revenue estimates by program type based on the financial report of other organizations providing comparable programs, and maximum supportable debt financing by program type based on conventional debt financing. In addition, the analysis explores financing and funding options, including grant opportunities with a competitive analysis of each prospective host jurisdiction, along with an analysis of other viable funding sources, such as corporate sponsorships and a legislative appropriation. The analysis also reviewed governance options, the various organizational structures that could oversee experience in the future, and conducted site-specific evaluations, including tours, meetings with staff, and information sharing between the project team and the prospective experience hosts. The feasibility analysis was highly collaborative and relied on feedback and direction from the steering committee participants, including members of WRCOG's executive committee, member agency staff, and regional stakeholders to inform development of experience. The committee led selection of the goals, what experience should do, achieve, and who it will serve, development of the mission and vision statements shown earlier, prioritization of specific programming and services that would be available at experience, and identification of what criteria to use and how to weigh it to evaluate each of the prospective host agencies. The following video summarizes this process and shares some of the highlights of the analysis.
We're trying to understand what is experience and what does it mean for all the parties involved in this amazing journey to define it.
This facility would promote the region. You know, every nook and cranny of this building should tell a story in some fashion.
We started to draw out some initial ideas for a mission statement.
We want the statement to be simple enough for anyone to understand what it means, and not just the people in this room.
Final vision statement, Western Riverside's showcase of opportunity and innovation.
We are referred to as the Lyle Center for Regenerative Studies.
This is the Lacrette's Innovation Campus.
The building was called the Frontier Project, and the foundation was the Frontier Project Foundation.
I'd like to tell everyone that it really was the programs that we launched that really set the stage for all the success that we have had.
You'll notice that we're not talking about the building itself today. That's a later phase of work. What matters is what's happening inside and the kind of synergy that you'd really like to see happen here.
What's it going to take to make this work? What needs to be done in terms of capital fundraising to move the project forward?
So what's next? You're going to go into that site selection criteria and really give the consultants your ideas on essentially what you think is important as we evaluate the specific sites. How do you want the neighborhood where this is eventually developed to feed into experience, and how do you want experience to provide benefits to that local area?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paul Jones. I'm the General Manager of Eastern Municipal Water District. And one of the key things that this site offers is really what's illustrated by that red star. It is essentially in the center of Western Riverside County.
How does a downtown Riverside experience not just benefit Riverside, but benefit our entire region? And we see the experience as being completely compatible with the Innovation District, and the idea is that one would play off the other.
There's never been a better time to invest in Riverside, specifically downtown Riverside. As you can see, we are an urban city.
The Temecula experience would include a destination center with all the must-have components, linked by bike trails and pedestrian connections in an urban and walkable environment, and synergy can be achieved between the different program elements within the community.
When we initially kicked off this feasibility study, it was to also assess the viability of and identify a preferred site. So while many sites can be feasible, the goal is to identify the ideal location.
Let's face it, Riverside right now is the central location, and who knows, maybe there really is a demand and a need, it may expand outward.
Well, they all three have so much to offer. I was inclined to choose Eastern's site. It really struck me when they put the map up there and showed it at the center of Western Riverside County.
For the biggest success long term, you'll need to put the energy where the energy is, and where the energy is right now is in Riverside.
Let's see a show of hands for those that are in favor of the Riverside site, the 7 voting members. 6.
We know that if we use something like an MOU, there's a possibility things may change, but it gives us a place to start.
Meeting number 7 was a culmination of input and listening and discussing and dreaming. So I'm looking forward to seeing it move forward, and have just been so pleased to be a part of it. I've really enjoyed the experience.
So the feasibility analysis confirmed that there is a need for experience in its various project components, particularly in the area of economic development, which has been an ongoing priority for WRCOG's board. This research through the analysis process revealed that the subregion has a smaller rate of business startups than the broader region, and we know that the local incubators and accelerators in the subregion are at capacity. Experience would include an additional incubator that serves as a hub for best practices. Experience would also include display space for member agencies to promote their communities, and there was discussion of employing a regional steward who would serve in a gatekeeper capacity, knowledgeable of the assets and opportunities across the subregion, and able to help connect outside investors and business owners with opportunities in specific member agencies. In addition to the need for economic development, we know that the subregion has a stigma and struggles to attract top firms and talent. Experience would help to address this by showcasing the best of the subregion, its people, assets, and opportunities, and highlight and grow our achievements in the sustainability field. Not only is there a need for experience, our analysis demonstrates that the feasibility, it is feasible to construct. Our exhaustive review of models revealed that comparable regions have built similar projects. The market demand analysis and pro forma evaluation demonstrate that local market forces are supportive of experience and that financing is possible. And the final section of the analysis serves as a roadmap for attracting the outside investments needed to move forward. At the start of this analysis, WRCOG issued a call for prospective host agencies and received interest from the City of Riverside, interested in siting experience within the newly designated Innovation District, from the City of Temecula, interested in siting experience at the civic site designated area of the Altair project specific plan, and from EMWD, who's interested in merging this concept for experience with an existing plan to grow their headquarter facilities in Paris to include demonstration facilities. The analysis revealed that any of these locations could host a successful experience. However, the Eastern and Riverside sites rose to the top. The City of Riverside boasts the closest proximity to UCR, transit, and jobs, synergy potential with the Innovation District, and as many of you know, it really is the epicenter of energy here in the subregion. EMWD offers the greatest flexibility. There's strong growth anticipated for the area, and it sits at the geographic center of the Western Riverside subregion. When analyzing against the steering committee's selection criteria, which looked at such things as financial stability, regional economic impact, and alignment with experience goals, the Riverside site pulled ahead and was ultimately favored by a majority of the executive committee representatives to the steering committee. As the feasibility analysis concluded that experience would be feasible, Chapter 8, starting on page 50 of the attached feasibility analysis draft in your agendas today, outlines the next steps necessary to bring this concept to market. The next phase is to staff up, that is to bring on dedicated fundraising and program development staff or a consultant, someone who has a proven expertise in this area, And we are really emphasizing that it's critical to kick off fund development and programming early on. That was made very clear in our discussions with other similar agencies hosting similar projects. And we would also need to enter into an MOU with the selected host to guide this phase of work. WRCOG and our consultants would estimate that this next phase in total would cost approximately $500,000 additional dollars to be shared with the host site. And following this investment, the model we proposed to follow would yield a self-sustaining organization in the future that would draw on outside funding. For the MOU commitments from WRCOG, we're proposing that WRCOG would lead the recruitment effort for the new hire, provide dedicated office space for the position, as well as administrative oversight, and finally, the financial contribution to cover up to 50% of that staffing cost. From the selected host agency, potentially the city of Riverside, we are proposing that they provide a matching contribution to cover staff costs and shared oversight of that position, all due diligence to finalize the site selection, and that they would also secure that site selection by means of either entering into a lease or securing an option to buy. Now again, as these 3 sites were all deemed viable, and the top 2 in particular were really closely ranked, staff recommend that we would institute specific measurable milestones to the MOU, and that way if the program is not moving forward with one particular site, we wouldn't miss the opportunity to be able to advance with another site. We're tentatively proposing the following schedule to be confirmed through the development of and finalization of the MOU. First, there would be a financial contribution confirmed by July of this coming year, along with the final site selection. That would correspond with both agencies finalizing their budgets for the coming year, and then to secure the site by December 31st of 2019. That concludes my report. I would like to take this opportunity to also reiterate that we do have several members of WRCOG's executive committee who have been involved in this process from the start, served a really instrumental role, and so I would invite all of you to provide any additional comment that you would like to. And I'd also like to introduce 2 of our consultants who were involved in this process, Eric Carbonier from HMC Architects and Karen Goley from PlaceWorks Planning. We have 7 requested actions for this item. I would welcome any questions for myself or our team. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Are there questions at this point? Andrea, any illuminating responses or comments from those that worked on preparing this? Nope. Wow. Do our consultants want to come and speak?
If we have particular questions.
No? All right. Mayor Bailey.
Just want to thank the good work of staff and the consultants to get us to this point, and the City of Riverside's honored to have been selected at this point, and look forward to moving forward with those next steps. And I'll move approval.
How about if we let somebody else make that motion? Mayor Bailey. Just since it's your city. You can vote. Marietta.
All right. I was part of the committee that was involved with this from the beginning. And I think our initial thing on this was just to see if this is something that Riverside County would have a need for or would be able to take advantage of. And at this point, that question has been decided. Now the next question is, if we've selected the site, and it turns out to be Riverside by choice of this council, then the hard part of putting it all together, the financing, et cetera, comes into play. And so it's not a definitive right now. It's an ongoing process, and the staff worked very hard to help us all through this and get to where we're at. And I just want to say I appreciate all of your efforts. And with that, I will make the motion to approve staff's recommendation.
All right.
What's Moreno Valley?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
She beat you to it, Kelly.
She wasn't on the thing.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments to be made before we tally the vote? That motion is approved unanimously with 22 yes votes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Bishop says item number 7 is to appoint 2 members to represent WRCOG in negotiating the MOU with the city of Riverside. And anybody want to throw their name in the hat on that? Mr. Ciardo.
If we're desperately in need, I will do it. If there are other people that want to clamor for that, that's fine. Come on, people.
Well, we already voted on it, but we didn't name them. But if you would like, if you want to send Rick emails nominating yourself, or do we?
We can take it to the admin committee and you can choose. We can do that.
Nobody's too excited about doing that work. Okay, Kelly.
Chuck, I will do it.
You're one of them.
Let's see. Let's go down the road and pick somebody who wants to do it too. Brian, you look like you're involved. Bonnie, did you want to?
I wasn't on the committee.
You weren't on the committee. Kevin? There we go. Me and Kevin.
All right. Kelly and Kevin. KK. Thanks, Rick. Next is a report from the Technical Advisory Committee Chair, George Johnson. Nothing today? All right. Reports from committee representatives, starting with SCAG, Regional Council and Policy Committee representatives. Banning.
We didn't meet yet. The meeting, actually there's no meeting in December. There's the Economic Summit this Thursday, so that's open to anyone that wants to attend that. There was a committee meeting this morning, subcommittee meeting this morning on RENA for the next round, and Rusty might want to say a few more words on that since you're our representative for that.
Come on, Rusty. You can do it. You can do it.
There was a lot of mumbo jumbo that was presented to us.
In technical terms.
Yeah. Wasn't a whole lot to report. There was a couple studies that were presented in terms of exclusionary zoning that occur across the country, but California's ahead of that game already, so didn't really apply to us that much. And then some of the potential methodology questions that have been asked in the past, and they've done some research, like head of households and occupants per room and such. So it's very preliminary in terms of any decisions. I think we approved the bylaws basically of the committee today, and we'll be meeting every other month until 2020, into 2020.
All right, thank you, Mayor Bailey. AQMD would be Ben, but I didn't see Ben here today. Nope. Brian Tisdale, CalCog.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We did have our quarterly meeting November 8th, and the number one topic was we still have SB1 funding, which they were extremely happy about. As we're moving forward in CalCog, we developed our policy principles for 2019, and I'm just going to go over just kind of a couple of them real fast. One of the big things is supporting bottoms-up approach that respects local authority, support legislation that supports local activities, protect local funding, oppose unfunded mandates, support material funds for regional agencies to match state and federal funding, support dedicated and robust formal funding for the California transportation system. We're looking at urban development, investments with cap and trade, housing, and economic and community development. Also, CalCog completed a leadership academy. They had 23 people that attended 6 two-week-day trainings. The course stressed the values of leadership, thinking, listening, and taking safe risks and working with different personalities, something that we probably can all use. This was funded with tuition and a grant from Caltrans. Caltrans provided $80,000 for this training, and so they're looking to do that again. So that's something that's going to be open. Our next meeting is in March, and we're going to be having a regional leadership forum and a joint meeting with the local government commission, and it's going to be in Yosemite.
Wow.
Yep. So, sir, I took this job for you, remember? So I'm stuck.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Honorable
Brian.
Chair, that's all I have.
Now we'll have a report from Mr. Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to convey my personal thanks to each of the elected officials that are leaving us. I cannot thank Debbie and Marion, both who served as chairs of WRCOG in the past, as well as John and Adam, Eugene, and John Denver, who is also leaving, is not here today, but we made sure that we got his proclamation to the Mayor Pro Tem. She'll give that to them. But I cannot thank you enough, especially those that I've been able to work for and with for such a long period of time. Your participation and your candor has really helped move this agency forward. We could not possibly be what we are without your leadership, and it's our hope that that your successors can help move the agency forward even further. So thank you again very much on behalf of myself and all of our staff. We appreciate that. I also wanted to mention that we have, in an attempt to improve our agency outreach to the general public and to you and to your staff, we've introduced a podcast, which we do call the COGcast. We don't want you to confuse this with another COGcast, a similar name, which is a Church of God podcast, which maybe some of you might be better off listening to rather than ours over time. But we do have 3 that actually are in the queue. We're sort of working all the bugs out, so the first 3 are basically on WRCOG and some of the WRCOG programs. But we're lining up future podcasts, and we want to involve you and your staff to talk about issues that you are undertaking and issues that are important to your jurisdiction and agencies throughout Southern California. And so the idea is that this would be a weekly release, and we hope that we're able to increase listenership over time. So if you have any ideas, if your staff has any ideas on what we might be able to include as subject matter, please let us know, and we'll arrange to have a meeting with you. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank Karen Goley and Eric Carbonet. They did a great job shepherding, from Placework, shepherding us through the experience process. A lot of meetings, there was a lot of information to be conveyed, and Karen, Eric, I want to thank you guys for doing such a great job to help us work through the details and the generalities and moving it forward. So thank you, and Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Rick. Any recommendations for items for future agendas? How about general announcements? San Jacinto.
I ask that today we close in honor of the former President of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush, who most of you already know were flying our flags at half-staff. He did pass away.
Thank you for that, Crystal. That's much appreciated. City of Banning.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if whether we do it as a podcast or a future meeting here, maybe more for a future meeting, information regarding RENA, because as Rusty said, they give you a lot of information, but there are some changes that are going to impact every single city and county. Mm-hmm. And I think people need to know what the updates are and what things we can do to make the distribution a little more equitable, the right way.
Good idea.
Thank you, Debbie. City of Norco.
Yeah, I just wanted to invite you all to, I don't know if you know this, but Norco, even though we're inland, is home to a Navy base, and we do the largest Pearl Harbor ceremony on the West Coast. And this year we have Melissa Melendez, who is a Assemblywoman, obviously, and a Navy veteran, will be speaking. I know it sounds crazy, but we use that as a platform to honor all veterans. We have flyovers, we have the National Cemetery All Forces Color Guard. We employ all kinds of our OTC people. We've had as many as 1,000 participants on a Sunday. We anticipate between 200 and 500 coming up. And I've never had the opportunity in front of the rest of the cities, but I really want to thank outgoing Supervisor Tavallone for enabling us to do this. It's the 12th year, and because of him helping us, we've been able to really put on a heck of a show for those who did come home and those who didn't come home. And we're really trying to make this special this year because it's the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. So anyway, you're all invited to come on out. ID, car registration current, insurance current, and you going through the 5th Street gate. We'd love to see you all out there. Thank you.
Kevin, did you say you were a Navy vet?
I am not, no, but Melissa Melendez is.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other general announcements? I have, what time, Kevin?
10 a.m., but I would recommend that you get there by at least 9:30. Right now, we have scheduled 300-year-old Pearl Harbor survivors coming.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
My father-in-law's a Pearl Harbor survivor.
That's amazing. We have one item, a little bit of house cleaning. We have to go back. Apparently, item 6J, PACE Programs Activities Update. There was a specific action that was needed to be voted on separately. So I'd like to get a motion and a second for reconsideration of 6J, and then we can take up the item. And 6J, this is just to reconsider it, since we've already voted. City of Beaumont, City of Calamasa, City of Paris. Okay, that motion passes unanimously with 22 yes votes. And Casey, do you want to come up now and give us your staff presentation, please?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
So,
Steve.
yeah, we apologize. This item had been inadvertently agendized as a consent calendar item, and it involves the issuance of bonds. And so, because of that, we need to bring it back here. Casey's going to give his report, and we're going to be taking a separate affirmative action on or requesting a specific action on the matter as opposed to having it handled as a consent calendar item.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Casey Daly, Director of Energy and Environmental Programs here at WRCOG. The two items that we're asking for you to approve are the documentation, the documents and agreements for both Y-Green and Clean Fund. Both of these providers have come through us in the previous months. Y-Green earlier in the year, where you all approved the residential program, we promised to come back with approval of a commercial program for Y-Green, so that's what the documents here are for. Similarly to Clean Fund, these are the documents that the board approved our executive director to go in and negotiate, so we're just coming back to you for the final approval of both of these sets of documents. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any additional questions. I heard something going on somewhere else, so I wasn't sure what was happening.
Different part of the meeting, I was going to play the codcast for the TUMP program, but I now realize that was way out of line. I'm sorry, Casey.
It's quite all right.
Yeah. Are there questions for Casey about the PACE program and the vote? So there are two items that they're asking for us to approve: adopt the resolution 4518 and adopt resolution 4618. There's a motion by San Jacinto and a second by City of Murrieta. Please register your votes. That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Casey. Let's see now. Next meeting will be January 7th. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everyone. We are adjourned.
One or two good ones every once in a while. There you go. It helps, doesn't it? It does help. Thank you, Mr.